Let me recognize the gentleman from New York, Mr. Higgins, to strike the last word.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I thought that it's incredible that people would defend the billions and billions of dollars that pharmaceuticals companies are making in this country, while taxpayers are getting gouged every single year. There's not an ounce of credible evidence to support the contention that big pharmaceutical companies need more help. According to the National Institutes of Health and the National Science Foundation, between 2012 and 2017, a 5-year period, each of the 210 prescription drugs approved for sale came out of National Institute of Health, taxpayer paid for research. Big Pharma gained profit control over taxpayer-funded research and made hundreds of billions of dollars. It's not Big Pharma that funds basic research in new drug development. It's the National Institute of Health. The National Institute of Health's budget this year is $39 billion. It was $39 billion. It was increased by $2 billion. One of the primary lobbyists for that increase with the administration was Big Pharma. You want to know why? Because they didn't want to assume that cost. They wanted to stiff the American taxpayers so they wouldn't have to bear that financial burden. So let's look at what Big Pharma did with their profits. $20 billion every year to market directly to physicians. $6 billion every year to market directly to consumers. You've all seen the commercials. It's mostly slick magazine ads and television. Great music, beautiful weather out, everybody's happy, everybody wants that drug. The pharmaceutical companies know exactly what they're doing. They're marketing to emotion, not to science. $6 billion every single year to market directly to consumers. One of only 2 countries, by the way, in the entire world that permits that because of what we know it is they're doing relative to our consumers. The corporate tax cut of 2017, it went into effect in 2018, full effect. 21 drug companies gained $10 billion in tax savings alone in 2018. From the same tax cut, $73 billion in stock buybacks since the tax cut passed, not for research, not for drug development, but for profits. $73 billion because of that corporate tax cut. Where did it go? It went to top executives and wealthy shareholders. In 2018, 3 CEOs from Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Merck, 3 CEOs were compensated $90 million. $90 million. So before you utter a word about the ability of big pharmaceutical companies to finance research, look at the facts. The basic research is being done by the National Institutes of Health. They don't make a profit. The big pharmaceutical companies come in when that development has reached a point where, as economists say, they come down the cost curve and there's a lot of money to be made. Finally, Mr. Chairman, the Journal of the American Medical Association did a 5-year study considering how much Medicare would spend annually if it paid Veterans Administration prices for the same quantity and the same quality of drugs. The Journal of the American Medical Association said that annual savings could be achieved of between 38% and 50%. Federal government last year spent $333 billion, taxpayer-funded money, for prescription drugs. If you could cut that in half, or you could cut that by 38%, that is considerable savings. That is what this legislation is designed to do. And we've been talking about the high cost of prescription drugs for 20 years. Prescription drugs are at a 20-year high in terms of their pricing. This legislation will begin to move the cost of prescription drugs lower, and on behalf of the people that finance the research that make those drugs possible. With that, I'll yield back.